Hello everyone! Today we're going to go and check out Azure AD Cloud Sync, which is a slightly newer way of actually doing a synchronization between on-site users and cloud users from Azure Active Directory and on-site Active Directory. It's done through an agent-based method rather than by using AD Connect. If you want to know how to use AD Connect, please watch part 1 of this video over here, and that will discuss Azure Active Directory AD Connect and the slightly older method of actually doing a synchronization. There is differences between the two, and we will discuss that in this video as well. So let's get on with the examples and the demo for Azure AD Cloud Sync. So here we are on my domain controller, and I have my Active Directory users and computers here. This is my old Active Directory users and computers running LDAP, and we want to synchronize these guys to the cloud. Last time we checked out how to do that with Azure AD Connect, and now we're going to try and do that same thing using a newer method, Azure AD Cloud Sync. So let's drop into Azure AD Connect down here, and instead of selecting Connect Sync, we're going to select Cloud Sync. Got a number of different options down here. We have a configuration guide for help for configuring this sync if we want to, and we have agents down here to actually start installing. So we need to download one of these on-premises agents. I'm going to accept the terms and conditions because I've read those in detail before, obviously, and I'm going to open that file, and we're going to agree to these license terms and conditions because obviously I have read those in detail beforehand. I'm sure you all believe me. Let's wait for this Azure AD Connect provisioning package to actually install. So we need to do a tiny bit of configuration here. We just need to authenticate this to Azure Active Directory. So to do this, we need some form of global admin account. So we'll just connect this in with my existing admin account. This needs to also create a a group managed service account to manage your directory synchronization from Active Directory. So we need to give this some of the enterprise admin details or the domain admin details of my local Active Directory environment. I'm going to add this directory in here, and we're going to add in adatum.com because that is my local directory on this test environment, and this is going to synchronize information from here. So I can confirm that. You can see that this agent actually looks pretty similar to the AD Connect agent, but there are less options available to it. That's because the configuration is all handled by the cloud. It's not handled by this agent. This is just a dumb agent sitting here talking to my local Active Directory environment and synchronizing that back. So let's wait for that agent to register with Active Directory. Now our agent has completed setup, we can exit this. We can close this agent provisioning package and we can drop back to configurations. So here inside my configurations, my new configuration has now actually ungrayed itself out. So here in configurations, we can now click on new configuration because it's no longer grayed out, and we can decide to synchronize adatum.com. We haven't got any other domains that we were able to synchronize. We'll enable password hash sync from here as well. We will create this and wait for our configuration to save. Now we're presented with the new Cloud Sync configuration options, and we can start to add scoping filters and map attributes and actually decide exactly what we are going to synchronize from our local system up here to the cloud. So let's go into our scoping filters down here. So I might want to not have all users. I might want to actually select a specific organizational unit I want to actually synchronize. To do this, I'm going to need to add the distinguished name of the object. So if I take, for example, IT down here, go to properties, go to the attribute editor, I should be able to find distinguished name here, and I can go and grab that distinguished name from within Active Directory, paste this in here as plain text and add that in. You can't actually browse anything down here either. If we go into overview, if we save that now, we can say we're saving the configuration. We can also pop over to things like attribute mapping. Now here in attribute mapping, you'll be able to see the source attributes and the mapping types, whether they are expressions or whether they are directs. These are mapping our local LDAP attributes to our target attributes within Azure itself. We could choose to edit these for which things we are actually wanting to synchronize, or we could add additional attributes if we actually want to. If we go back into overview, What we can do now is review and enable these options. And we can enable this configuration. Notice I'm scoping to those specific organizational units, i.e. just the IT one, and I'm going to synchronize datum.com. The current last sync is never, and the password hash sync is enabled. If I enable this configuration, this should begin the synchronization of all the objects that are in that IT organizational unit. Just to check, if I click on agents down here, we can see that I have my londc1.datum.com and the external IP address for it, and it's nicely active and working. I could add additional agents here if I wanted to for redundancy within my environment. I could add that on any domain controller, or I could add that on to any machine that has line of sight to the domain controller. Also through here, we can also see our audit logs. And we can see our account provisioning has actually started and has begun to update inside our environment. We can also see our provisioning logs from here under datum.com. I have no results at the moment, but after this is completed, we should be able to see all of the users that have been provisioned inside. So back to my overview, we can see that this configuration is enabled, one agent is enabled, and that we've currently got a configuration status of healthy. If we go back now to our Active Directory environment in Azure, and we'll go and check out the users that are available to us now. And now, after a number of minutes, if we come back to our users selection on Azure Active Directory, we can see that all of our users from the IT organizational unit have been synchronized. And this is how you actually synchronize some users in the same way as we did before, but we're doing this not through AD Connect, we are doing this through AD Cloud Sync. Something I actually want to point out here is the comparison between AD Connect and Cloud Sync. There are some differences between these two. For example, the Azure AD Connect Cloud Sync allows you to connect multiple disconnected on-premise AD forests and has that lightweight agent installation model. But for example, Connect Sync, AD Connect, has support for device objects down here. Okay. We've also got synchronizing customer-defined AD attributes or directory extensions is supported with AD Connect, as well as support for pass-through integration or pass-through authentication is supported by AD Connect. So there are some slight differences between AD Connect and between AD Cloud Sync. Generally, if you have AD Connect actually set up at the moment, there isn't that much reason to move to AD Cloud Sync. But if you are setting up a brand new environment, you might want to start with Active Directory Cloud Sync, especially if you're not planning to have much integration with Active Directory hybrid domain joins for local computers. And you know the routine, hashtag like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed this video and will join me next time. Goodbye.